feel wanted in this organization?
I don't not feel wanted. That's what I could say. I don't base my emotions off of who says anything about me, or I mean, all I can do is my job and do it to the best of my capability. So everything else, I mean, it's out of my control, but I have the utmost confidence, and trust that, I am the quarterback of this team, just off of conversations that I've had with Flo and whatnot.
So I was gone for the past 5 days, and in the last 5 days, a ton of information came out in regards to the Deshaun Watson situation and multiple other players that are about to be traded. And we already made a video updating you guys on the most likely candidates on who's going to be traded, and we're going to leave that in the end screen of the video. But I figured it's only necessary to make a dedicated video to update you guys on all things in regards to Deshaun Watson, in regards to who's the most likely to trade for him, and what's going on with this investigation and his case so far. So before we get to the content, anytime I discuss a Deshaun Watson investigation, the video gets automatically demonetized, which I don't really care about the money, guys. Usually when a video gets demonetized, YouTube just stops recommending it unless if it gets a ton of likes. So if you could take a moment and leave a like on this video, I'd greatly appreciate it, and consider subscribing and turning on our notifications, because I will always bring you the latest news in a high quality edited manner straight to your device. If you happen to think that I talk way too much in my YouTube videos, well, I happen to condense these videos into 45 seconds on my TikTok at Microphone NFL, and make sure you follow us on Twitter at Microphone NFL as well if you want to send me any leads or sources. Now that we get all that out of the way, break!
I don't really pay attention to rumors and hypotheticals. Tua is our quarterback. I've said that, multiple times. I've said that to him, and try to be, honest and transparent with our players.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? The last time we were making a video on Deshaun Watson, we got a source, I believe it was John McClain, that came out and said that it's a foregone conclusion that Deshaun Watson is going to get traded this next week before the trade deadline, and that was on October 20th. Now a week later, and Deshaun Watson hasn't necessarily been traded, but there are terms that have been agreed upon. I know it's really confusing, and let me explain. So far, the most likely candidate that Deshaun Watson would get traded to is the Miami Dolphins, who are in a very sticky situation in of itself. You see, a year ago, the Miami Dolphins finished with a 10-6 record and were one of the rising teams in the NFL. This was a team that recently traded Laramie Tunsil for a bunch of draft picks and Minkah Fitzpatrick for even more draft picks. Not only that, they seem to have hit a home run on their hiring of Brian Flores, who was in the midst of completely shifting the culture in Miami. He was considered to be one of the few Belichick disciples that actually was successful once they moved on from New England, and Tua did look a little raw in his first season, but it seemed like with a full off season under his belt, without having to deal with a COVID impacted training camp, he was trending upward, especially considering that the Miami Dolphins drafted a familiar friend of his in Jalen Waddle, and that their defense seemed to be on the up and up after paying Xavier Howard once again. But unfortunately, Tua got injured in the beginning of the season, and now Brian Flores, very shortly after being considered as a potential savior of the Miami Dolphins franchise, is on a 5-game losing streak and is beginning to feel his seat warming up. The CBS article goes like this: the Miami Dolphins' 5-game losing streak has ramped up tension within the organization and further complicated Coach Brian Flores' relationships with players and others within the organization. There was significant locker room backlash a year ago when Flores began yo-yoing his quarterbacks and showing a quick hook with rookie Tua Tagovailoa. Despite a 10-win campaign, there were lingering questions among many players about the continual overhaul of staff and players, and concerns about the ability to connect with the coach. And last week's loss to the previously winless Jaguars in London has furthered the angst. At least some veterans believe the decision not to take the bye week after the international trip was a mistake, and owner Stephen Ross has become increasingly concerned about the direction of the franchise. One source even said that there is a really negative vibe down there right now. A lot of players do not trust Flores. Flo thinks he is a player's coach with an open door policy, but I know a number of players who would tell you they don't really think he is approachable enough or flexible. And the worst part of all, there is still too much of that New England stuff going on. It just doesn't work. There's a psychology to to handling players and building a team, and you have to be able to connect and motivate, and that's not the vibe here. It's pretty bad. So you can see that Brian Flores is on the hot seat, which also means that Chris Grier is also on the hot seat. And to be honest, it's not hard to see why. There has been times where Chris Grier hit on his draft picks like Laramie Tunsil and Xavier Howard and Kenyon Drake and Minka Fitzpatrick and Jerome Baker, but there's also been times where he's absolutely missed on his draft picks as well. And although he's done a remarkable job flipping those players for good assets, the fact that the team took a step forward and a huge step back is very concerning, especially if you're the owner of the Miami Dolphins and Stephen Ross, which all brings us to where Deshaun Watson currently is. I want to give a huge shout out to today's video sponsor, Bounty Sports. Guys, you know me personally, I do love playing daily fantasy sports, and Bounty Sports is by far the best platform to do it on. They built a pick'em style daily fantasy sports platform that gives everyone a fair chance to win. It's incredibly easy to play and offers a fun, low stakes gaming experience that'll get you a little bit more into your favorite games. Just pick the teams that you think will win the night's game, play against other fans, and win cash prizes. It's as simple as that. Bounty has contests for NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, MMA, soccer, golf, and more, and there's new contests that are live every day. Now, I always say the best websites will let you try their product for free, and that's what Bounty is doing with me here by letting you use my promo code microphone to get $5 automatically added to your account. So let's put this $5 to good use, shall we? Now, signing up is super easy. You just go over here and put in all your information and make sure you put my referral code microphone. And then once you're on the website, you do have multiple contests that you could pick from. Let's see if they have anything for the NFL. They have a nice little pick'em for next week's NFL games. I'm gonna go ahead and take a look at this. Now this one should be cake, man. The Miami Dolphins versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, definitely the Dolphins. And you just pick your games over here, and once you're done picking all of your games, you could enroll right over here, and hopefully we could turn this $5 free referral bonus into $360. So we're gonna confirm right here, and we are now enrolled. It's as simple as that. Make sure you use my promo code to get the $5 free bonus, and hopefully you could turn out to make some money off of this. At the very least, it's an extra way to get more engaged and into the games. And thank you, Bounty Sports, for the sponsor. You see, Deshaun Watson represents hope for the Miami Dolphins franchise. If they were able to pull off a trade for Deshaun Watson, Chris Grier and Brian Flores could go up to Stephen Ross, the owner of the Miami Dolphins, and say, hey, give us 1 or 2 more years to see what we can do with Deshaun Watson. Bear in mind, Deshaun Watson is one of the most transcendent quarterbacks in the NFL. It's very rare to have an opportunity to trade for a player of the caliber of Deshaun Watson. Like, we are literally talking about a player that threw for 4,800 passing yards, 33 touchdowns, and only 7 interceptions in a season where he lost DeAndre Hopkins and had his coach fired in the middle of the season. So the last time we made a video on Deshaun Watson, the only thing that was clear was the fact that Watson doesn't really want to go to the Philadelphia Eagles. He has this no trade clause that he's unwilling to waive just to go to the Philadelphia Eagles, despite the Eagles having the most assets to trade for Deshaun Watson. The Carolina Panthers seem to have entered the Deshaun Watson race once again after Sam Darnold's most recent struggles, but according to this article from David Newton and ESPN, the Carolina Panthers will not pursue Houston Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson with the NFL trade deadline approaching on Tuesday. ESPN and multiple media outlets reported earlier this week that the Panthers, who are currently 3-4, had renewed their interest in potentially pursuing a Watson trade. Amid the game's 4-game losing streak and the benching of quarterback Sam Darnold in Sunday's loss to the New York Giants, Carolina reportedly explored the possibility of trading for Watson during the offseason. Head coach Matt Rule said, "You guys know that wasn't from me. I have nothing to add to that, and my focus is on this team." Now, yesterday we actually received a bombshell from a source that I was not really familiar with, but multiple reputable media outlets actually reported this source. So we're gonna report it here as well and dissect into it because it's a little confusing. According to Barry Jackson of FLA Sports Buzz, the Houston Chronicle reports that the Miami Dolphins and Houston Texans have agreed on trade terms for Deshaun Watson, but the Miami Dolphins want his legal issues resolved before consummating a deal. Good luck with that. Chronicle suggests that Stephen Ross, the owner of the Miami Dolphins, wants clarity from Roger Goodell on the length of a potential suspension. Good luck with that. Now, the problem is that these issues seem unlikely to be resolved and clarified before Tuesday's trade deadline, and even though the teams have reportedly agreed agreed on compensation, nothing legally binds them to complete the deal next spring or whenever there is a resolution on those two issues. So to clear things up, apparently the Miami Dolphins and the Houston Texans have agreed on a trade and have agreed on trade compensation for Deshaun Watson. The issue is the owner of the Miami Dolphins doesn't feel comfortable trading 3 first-round picks, which is reportedly the package for Deshaun Watson, in order to get a player that might get suspended and might not be able to play, especially when he could wait and figure out what the situation is going to be in the offseason. So here's the thing that makes this even more confusing. Deshaun Watson apparently wants to go to Miami, but there are conflicting reports everywhere from fairly reputable sources. Check this out from Josina Anderson. A league source told me this morning there are more teams Deshaun Watson can go to besides Miami. It's not just Miami or bust. My understanding is Watson is willing for the most part to go to the teams that are interested in him, which is a huge contrast to what we were hearing a week ago where he said, hey, I don't want to go to the Eagles and I will only waive my no trade clause for the Miami Dolphins. Now, in regards to Deshaun Watson's case, Roger Goodell actually issued a statement on that, saying that we don't have access to all of that information and pride ourselves on not interfering with it. That process is still ongoing. The important thing that Rap Sheet is highlighting here is we don't feel that we have that necessary information to place him on the exempt list. Rap Sheet also confirmed that owner David Tepper and the Carolina Panthers are not expected to pursue Texans QB Deshaun Watson at this time. The QB has only waived his no trade clause for the Miami Dolphins, which once again is a contradiction to what Josina Anderson said on October 26th. This is coming from Rap Sheet on October 27th. But wait, there's more, because Josina Anderson also said that, I'll say this too, when it comes to the Deshaun Watson case and in general, the focus should be on the proof and just what's alleged. Per my understanding, some of the claims made in the suits have already been made nebulous. My messages received by Watson after he said that the claims were filed. This was according to his lawyer, I believe. Now, yesterday in the evening, the owner of the Miami Dolphins could have ended all this speculation by stopping for 10 seconds and saying that we're not trading for Deshaun Watson while the investigations are ongoing. But of course, it seems like there's a lot of smoke and mirrors to this situation. And I think what it all comes down to is how hot is Chris Grier and Brian Flores' seat currently? What is the likelihood that they get fired after one bad season? Is Chris Grier and Brian Flores' job in jeopardy? If it is, then of course they will roll the dice on this Deshaun Watson trade and possibly go all in on him, especially if he's technically allowed to play still. Now, the odds of Deshaun Watson coming in the midst of a trade deadline trade and completely changing the Miami Dolphins offense for the better is very slim to none in my opinion. NFL offenses are extremely complicated and it's going to take some time for Deshaun Watson to adjust even if he does get traded to the Miami Dolphins. It seems like the Dolphins are holding their cards very close to their chest and it's going to be a little while before we figure out whether or not he's officially going to be traded to the Dolphins. But for now, apparently the only thing that's stopping the Dolphins is the fact that they're worried about the case around Deshaun Watson and him potentially being suspended, and they may not want to take that risk, especially after they only gave Tua 8 games to play so far. So let me know in the comment section down below if you're a Dolphins fan. Which side are you on? Do you think that the Miami Dolphins are giving up on Tua way too quickly, or do you think that the opportunity to trade for this transcendent quarterback is too good to pass up and the Miami Dolphins should go all in on Deshaun Watson? Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.